Welcome back to Book Break and welcome to our October book haul. I have just received from the post room, let me pick it up, this very exciting box of books, which I am trying not to look too hard at because it is all supposed to be a surprise. I had a quick look to check this was the right box, and I wish I'd been recording so you could have heard me squeal at the books that are on top. Needless to say, it has been a very exciting month in publishing here at Pan Macmillan. So if you haven't seen one of these videos before, every month we do these book haul videos where I am sent a surprise box of books full of some of the most exciting titles that we have published from Pan Macmillan over the last month. So here are some of our best October releases I think you will most like to hear about. Or rather, that Elle thought you would most like to hear about. Elle is the behind the camera other half of the Book Break team who packs these boxes for me. So let's dive straight into the box. I'll show you the reason that I screamed. The top two books in this box were queer love stories, queer romances. I've read one of them, I'm yet to read the other, so let me go through them. Starting with A Marvelous Light by Freya Marske, which is now out in paperback, and the sequel is coming out very, very soon. I can't wait. So this is the one that I have read. This is a fantasy romance set in an alternate history, so it's also historical fiction. It's a real blend of genres and it is so much fun. So this is set in an alternate history where magic is real, but nobody knows about it. Most regular people don't know that magic exists. And our main character, Robin, has just got a job working for the government, but he's accidentally been assigned the wrong post. He ends up being given the job of magical liaison, and suddenly he discovers that magic is real, very, very real. The excitement all kicks off because Robin also ends up getting put under a curse, and the magical counterpart he has to work with is a man called Edwin, who ends up having to help him release himself from this curse. And the two men clash at first, but you guessed it, this is going to be an enemies to lovers situation, and their romance is steamy and dreamy. I really fell in love with the way that magic works in this universe. It's all done by casting spells using your hands, moving your hands in patterns that resemble cradling, as in the Cat's Cradle, a game that I loved playing when I was younger. I have spent a lot of time filming videos of myself holding this book and doing different Cat's Cradle patterns. I will insert a little sample here so you can see quite how obsessed I got. And then this book, which I haven't yet read, but I'm going to instantly the second the camera stops rolling, She Drives Me Crazy. This is a sapphic teen romance. Again, it's enemies to lovers. What happens when two high school nemeses fall in love? Scotty's on the basketball team, Irene is head cheerleader. These two girls could not be more different. But then, are you ready? Because there's another amazing trope in this book. The two decide on a very elaborate fake dating scheme. Could this book be more perfect? Moving on, the next two books I've pulled out are two gorgeous little books. These are parts of the Macmillan Collector's Library. So we've got Our Place in Nature and No Place Like Home. Look how pretty, I'm obsessed. So No Place Like Home is an anthology about the places we come back to. It's writing from around the world that all celebrates the comfort of a home, a place to call home. And Our Place in Nature is an anthology of classic writing exploring our relationship with the natural world. And hello, this is another book that's coming home with me, The Ministry of Quizzes. This is the ultimate compendium for puzzlers and quiz solvers. I'm a big fan of a pub quiz, big fan of a puzzle book. This looks perfect for me. I'm going to be testing all my friends on trivia from now until Christmas. Let me try one on you. Okay, what word links oil, mass, and cowboy? Think about it. Oil, mass, and cowboy. There is one word that links all of those. And you're just gonna have to guess what it is. Write your guesses in the comments below. And if you don't know and you just really want to know the answer, then write that in the comments too and I will tell you the answer. This one is very exciting. This is a new middle grade book by Lenny Henry called The Book of Legends. What if all the stories were real? It says on the front, along with this gorgeous illustration of magic flying out of a book. So this is about children Bran and Fran who live with their mum, who is a storyteller at a local bookstore, and their dad has not been seen since he disappeared in a bolt of lightning. And then their mum goes missing in a lightning strike too. So suddenly Bran and Fran are all alone and they have to figure out how to use their mum's storybook as a portal to another world where adventure is waiting. I think this one is going to be seen under a lot of Christmas trees this year. This is Kate Moss's non-fiction book, Warrior Queens and Quiet Revolutionaries: How Women Also Built the World. So it's a celebration of unsung heroes. It says here, Warrior Queens and Quiet Revolutionaries is a detective story and a celebration of unheard and underheard women's history. Within these pages, you'll meet nearly 1,000 women whose names deserve to be better known. Such a gorgeous gift idea. Or a gift to yourself. I also want to learn about all of these role models I could have had my whole life. Then we've got The Attic Child, which is out in paperback now. This is historical fiction about two children trapped in the same attic almost a century apart and bound by a secret. So it's a dual timeline novel. Part of it is set in 1907. We meet a 12-year-old boy who was taken from his homeland, is treated as an unpaid servant and spends most of his time locked in an attic. And then decades later, a young orphan girl who was born into wealth and privilege finds herself in this same attic. And she is going to find clues there that lead her to suspect she's not the first child to have been imprisoned there. And then she's going to unravel this history. So many of these are screaming Christmas gifts to me. This is a perfect one to go into a stocking. This is a new edition of 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas, which is a book by Adam Kay, the author of This Is Going to Hurt. If you loved that book, which was a collection of hilarious and heartbreaking and sometimes disgusting diary entries about Adam Kay's time spent as a doctor on a labour ward, in this book, he pulls out all of the diary entries from around Christmas. 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas is a love letter to all those who spend their festive season on the front line, removing babies and baubles from the various places they get stuck at the most wonderful time of the year. Next we have, another paperback release, A Bigger Picture by Vanessa Nakate. So this one is non-fiction. So Vanessa Nakate is an activist in the climate movement, and she made headlines in 2020 when she was cropped out of a picture. She was the only black person in this picture of climate activists. The others were 4 white Europeans, and she was cropped out. And so from that, she started to speak out even more about the fact that often the people who are most likely to be affected by the climate crisis are the people whose voices are being omitted from the conversation. And so this book is her story of her fight to get her voice heard. Another non-fiction book now out in paperback is Maybe I Don't Belong Here by David Harewood. This is his memoir about race, identity, breakdown, and recovery. So it's a really personal story about David Harewood's own journey from growing up working class, living in Birmingham, to becoming a critically acclaimed actor, getting to Hollywood, and then suffering a breakdown and living with the experience of life after psychosis. You get this really, really personal story. But it also looks at the bigger picture, and it's a really groundbreaking conversation starter about the links between race and mental health. We've got a re-released classic that I've actually never read, The Green Gage Summer by Rumer Godden. This is set during one long hot summer in France. Soon after the end of the First World War, it's about a woman called Mrs. Gray who brings her 5 young children to the French countryside for the summer, and then she's struck down by a sudden illness, and so the siblings are left to fend for themselves. This is a book I've heard so many people talk about as being so beloved to them that they kind of grew up with this novel, so I think it's time for me to read it, and time for you to read it. Return to Moomin Valley is a gorgeous children's book. This is inspired by the Moomin stories by Tove Jansson, but also with illustrations inspired by the TV series. Look how gorgeous this is. This is another really great present for this time of year. In this one, the Moomins are going to go off on all sorts of adventures. They find the king's ruby, journey to a mysterious island, encounter the hobgoblin, and discover a magical painting. But when the Moomins begin to long for home, will they be able to return to their beloved Moomin Valley? Let's hope so. And I've got 2 more in here, 2 more gorgeous stocking stuffers, I would suggest. Goblin Market and Other Poems by Christina Rossetti. This is the latest addition to the Macmillan Collector's Library. This book contains Christina Rossetti's first collection of poetry, critically acclaimed, so including the most famous Goblin Market, which, if you didn't have to study that one at school, is about 2 sisters, Laura and Lizzie, enticed by the smells, sounds and sights of the Goblin Market, tempted by the ripe figs, plump cherries, and fragrant berries. While Lizzie resists, Laura is slowly destroyed by her insatiable longing for the goblin's forbidden fruit. So that's a lovely one for your poetry shelf. And so is this next book I'm going to show you, We Wish You a Merry Christmas and Other Festive Poems. And these are all chosen and illustrated by Chris Riddell. So Chris Riddell has chosen some of his own favourite festive poems and illustrated them himself in his really gorgeous, distinctive style. My favourite in here I'm going to show you is The 12 Days of Christmas, which lends itself so well to being illustrated. Look how beautiful this is. Doesn't it just make you want to get up and start singing? So that was our October book haul, and do leave a comment below letting me know which of those you're most excited about getting your hands on. I'll also link here to a playlist of all of our other book hauls so you can go back through and browse for even more shopping inspiration for your TBR lists, and I'll see you next time.